Hi, good afternoon. I'm Kim North, the educational rep for Middle Tennessee. I'm here with Mr. Ozimek. He's one of our professional teachers. We'd like to thank you for joining us today, as Mr. Ozimek's going to be demonstrating several instruments to give you ideas of what the professional and intermediate instruments sound like. He's going to be demonstrating different woodwind instruments for us today. So, Mr. Ozimek, I'd like to thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how long you've been playing?
Yes, I've been playing for a long time. I'm 65 years old now. I started playing music back in 1961 and became part of the music program in New York in 1964. So I have a long history of playing the woodwind instruments. Very fortunate. I studied at State University of New York and with the faculty from the Juilliard School, and I played in all kinds of Broadway shows. I played flute in the Murfreesboro Symphony here close to Nashville. And I played with the Nashville Symphony and just so many things, just hundreds and hundreds of performances. I played 17 years out at Opryland. And so really virtually every style that you would want to play in has been a part of my playing experience. So I have a wide variety of experience, and also working with students over 45 years. I've had over 5,000 students in my career, so I think there's a rich background that comes in to understand the needs of students for the instruments that they're looking to step up to, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at here today.
Well, we look forward to hearing the demonstrations of different flutes, clarinets, saxophones on the different levels of professionalism. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Ozimek.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Okay, and now Mr. Ozimek's going to be demonstrating first the Giardinelli GFL Model 10, and it has a Haynes solid silver head joint with a silver plated body.
Okay, we're going to be taking some precautions here, of course, with the virus being in our society now. And so one of the things to get the sound of the flute, I may have to experiment a little bit because the air must flow across this area when I blow into it. So let's see what we get here. It's a little bit different than I would be used to when I normally play a flute. Some of the features of this, the head joint is a very important aspect of the instrument. When I'm working with students, I tell them, that the head joint is going to account for about 70% of the quality of the tone that you're getting. So many flutists, when they upgrade to even professional flutes, will seek out another head joint. You've already got that with this. This is a quality head joint. And one of the things that, of course, you'd want to try out as you're trying step-up instruments, we'll look at a few of them here today, is to see if this is a good match for your embouchure. Of course, our lip shape and configuration are different, so some people find one instrument or one particular head joint works better for them. That's why we have so many choices. But I think it has a nice even quality across it. It responds very well. This flute also has open holes on it. Right now, it has plugs in it here. I don't know if you can see this on our camera, but that's a desirable aspect here. There are certain advanced techniques that you can do with open hole flutes, and it improves the tone a little bit. So I think this would be a good solid instrument that your advancing student could be comfortable playing. And one of the things as we go up the flute scale here a little bit and look at even better flutes, as you get more silver in your both body and keys, that'll enhance the tone quality even more. Any other questions you had about that?
Okay. Next, Mr. Ozimek will be demonstrating an Ozimek AZ2. It also has a solid head joint, solid silver head joint with a plated body, and it is considered an intermediate flute also.
Okay, this flute also, a noteworthy feature is that we have a sterling silver head joint, and that's an important point. There's different alloys of silver that they use for head joints. Many of them will boast a solid silver head joint, it may be coin silver that's 90%. So this sterling silver is 92.5%, and that does make a difference in the sound. So it has, again, some of the features we've had on another flute we took a look at. We had the open holes, and another thing here, this is called a gizmo key. This is actually a pretty important key when you're playing the extreme high register. This is used to make the high C on the flute more stable. It's a known problem with all flutes that high C tends to have problems with response and sound, and by adding that key, it significantly strengthens and helps the tone. Basically, that's the whole reason behind the low B, is that you're not going to find a lot of literature that has low B, although it does exist in some. It tends to give a little more depth of the tone with the longer tube here. Again, I'll have to position this. We're taking precautions here. I have to get it positioned just right so you'll be able to hear it. Here's the high C. You can see the effect of that gizmo key. Really nice thing to have. You would not see that on a student flute. Student flutes generally do not have the low B and do not have that option open to them. Well, one of the other things too, a factor that I think is important to note, is there's a lot that goes on that a player, someone that does not play the instrument cannot see. And there's going to be differences in the response, the beauty of the tone. And so I think this flute has a very lovely tone. For a step-up instrument, this would make a really, really good choice for someone where, you know, you have your eyes on moving up the first chair and you're going to be auditioning for the all-state or all-county bands. A great, great option. This flute could take you a long distance. If you had the idea that you wanted to buy something that maybe could take you all the way through the end of high school, that would be a great choice.
Now Mr. Ozimek will be demonstrating the YFL 462, and it's considered a professional model.
Yeah, this is a very nice flute. Yamaha has a long tradition of making quality flutes, and I believe this one has the solid silver body as well as the silver head joint. And again, you're going to see there will be a much more stable kind of rich ringing tone when you get a full solid silver body. Again, we have the open holes on this, and we have our low B foot as mentioned before with your gizmo key. So when you're playing your high C, you can see the response will be much better on this. Also, there's another factor too that I think you start to get into when you get a flute of this quality, and that's the feel factor. I think a good way to relate to that is maybe if you've driven a car, you know, you can go in and drive a basic car, maybe something that has no extra frills, and it gets you where you want to go. But if you drive something that's really a higher end model, and it's just the way the steering wheel feels, how it feels when you drive it, how it handles. With musicians, when we're playing at a very advanced level, the feel of the keys in your hands becomes critical, because sometimes your fingers are moving so rapidly, you have no room for error. And this just feels really good to the hand. So let me get this positioned. Again, we're taking our precautions here, so I've got to get it positioned right now. I'll demonstrate this for you. I have to get that in position here. Oh, still getting some air hitting the mask here. Yeah, this has a very nice response to it. Here's another aspect of playing on a flute that would be of this quality, and I think we would put that in the category of flexibility. Some instruments just have the ability where you feel, if I wanted to get it to sound a certain way, maybe a brighter sound or something more aggressive or something more laid back, that they just respond better. That's something as you progress to higher levels of playing, you'll have a certain emotion you want to bring out in your playing, and some instruments, it's almost like they read your mind, they do what you're thinking, and this this flute has that quality to it. I think this would be an excellent one for a student, advanced high school player, or even someone going into their college years could successfully play a flute of this quality.
So today we got to hear Mr. Ozimek demonstrate the GFL 10, the AZ2, and the YFL 462 flutes. All three of them are great options for what type of player, Mr. Ozimek?
These are the type of flutes that you want to be providing your students when they've got ideas about rising up in their class. If they want to be the first flute player in their class, or they're looking at auditioning for mid-state band or for some of the all-state band type things, or they're getting involved in a local orchestra and are playing at church. And one of the things, a point I'd like to make about this, a lot of people ask this question: if you're not a player, why do I need to go up to a flute like this? What is the benefit of that versus my student flute that I got? And it's so important to understand that you want to have an instrument that they can grow into. Now, of course, I played flute for about 50 years now. And when you have an instrument that responds to your breath, that is flexible, as we discussed, where you can get different emotions in your sound and qualities to the sound, and it articulates well with the tonguing, and the beautiful resonant tone you get. Not only is it encouraging to the students, but it helps them find that room to growth. And that idea of encouraging is important, because one of the biggest things we fight with students are that they get discouraged if things don't work right, or the instrument is not playing at the level that they need. This is something to grow in, to take them to the next level, and it's a very important thing. So I would encourage you all to take a look at that.
Well, thank you for your time demonstrating the different flutes. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me out here. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the demonstration. Just a couple things in closing that we wanted to let you know about. We do have other brands available, so those are just a small variety of things that we wanted to demonstrate. So we do have appointments available at the store, so please make sure that you call or email to make your appointment. Unless you know what you already want, then you can just come in and purchase. We've got an Upgrade Your Sound event going on right now, and there's special promotions available. We do have 10% off if you're doing, just a cash transaction, or we have 48 months financing available with no interest for qualified customers. The Giardinelli and Strobel brand instruments do offer rental credit for the rental customers, and you can take up to 50% off of the retail price of the instrument if you choose one of those. We also have some manufacturer rebates on certain brands. And at this time, we're going to open it up to questions and answers. So if you haven't put your questions in the chat room, this would be a perfect time to do so. Thank you for joining us.